Hello and welcome to another episode of the Mile High Game Guys board gaming podcast. I'm your host, Adrian.
I'm Zach.
And I'm Jeff.
And we got a board gaming podcast for you.
Buckle in, folks.
Yeah. This is the first, the freshest one in a while. It hasn't been as long since one released. It has been since recording. There were some weird gaps and stretched out spacing between our episodes.
So
I
don't know what you're talking about. Everything seemed fine to me.
this is fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
This is fine.
Everything's fine.
No. A wizard releases his podcast exactly when he means to.
Glad you're going with just referring to yourself as a wizard now.
I've got the wizard hair.
Yes, you do.
Very much do.
Yeah.
It's even becoming the appropriate color for a wizard.
It's gray. Gray. I don't know. Have you seen The Green Knight? He wasn't that gray.
True, he wasn't.
True.
He was a little, though.
He was a little gray.
No. That movie's definitely sat with me in a good way.
Yeah.
I definitely have thought about it more in a more positive light. Not to say I didn't not like it, but I was like, I enjoyed it, but now I'm like, I I really liked it. So yeah.
Yes.
Thursby really wants to talk about it.
Yeah.
I had seen that thread that built up on Slack on our movies and TV channel.
Great.
It grew to about 150 comments.
That's because apparently Paul had nothing better to do. And somebody was there to be like, I will engage with you and continue to keep engaging with you.
Thursby's probably learned this lesson long ago. It's like, do not engage with Paul. Disengage. Disengage.
I'm very guilty often of poking the bear.
I'm not in news and politics anymore. My life is 1,000 times better because I usually crawl in at about 10:30 right before lunch and be like, is it worth going through this 230 missed message part? Nah, it's not.
Definitely not.
Definitely not.
Never was.
Well, that's your engagement period for Slack that you should join by seeing in our show notes.
You definitely should.
And then you too can see 100 long thread and be like, I don't want to read that.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I thought The Green Knight was very much that in that stable of A24 movies, like The Lighthouse and Midsummer and stuff like that. But it's
yes.
That is clearly not for Paul.
No. It had some source material that if you were familiar with, the movie would have made much more sense.
Parts of it. I'm not familiar with the source material, but I went and read a whole lot of stuff about the source material, like in the immediate aftermath, because I was like, I need to know everything about this mythology now.
And then I remember doing that a little bit too and being like, oh, it seems like there are references to Southern mythology that they didn't make. Yeah, it was pretty opaque or oblique or vague, obtuse. So it didn't directly reference it as much, but
right.
No, I thought. I mean, I really dug it.
I did too. I don't know if I would go see it again.
I don't just as much as I would like to see The Lighthouse again. I just don't have much interest in. I'm always just I see it there and I'm like, I don't want to put myself through that again.
Yeah.
Or The Lighthouse is worse. I have less desire to see The Lighthouse. Not worse as in it's a worse movie, but the desire to not see it again despite enjoying it is stronger with The Lighthouse.
Yeah.
It's like Requiem for a Dream. Just very, very different tonally and everything, but it's a very similar feeling of wow, that was a really good movie that I don't ever need to watch again.
What's the one where Robin Williams goes to hell?
Oh,
What Dreams Will Come?
Yes.
Yeah,
with Cuba Gooding Jr.
Yeah.
Cuba.
Your hair's being complimented in chat, Jeff.
Amazing.
It's
like my hair.
It is pretty fantastic. So there's your engagement period. A little bit of pre-banter movie stuff.
My hair is actually incredible.
Yeah.
It might be growing at a 6-inch a week rate.
I doubt that significantly.
It actually feels like it hasn't grown that much in a long time.
I don't know. I don't have it down very often.
That's
anymore.
True. There's some more engagement for you. Now we're going to move on to board games. Because it's a board gaming podcast, and so occasionally we talk about board games.
And boy, howdy are we.
Boy, howdy. Yeah, this is going to be a long segment because there are 2 weeks of game nights involved. Thankfully, we only streamed on one of the Fridays of the last 3. So we don't have a lot of streams to talk about. But we'll start there with the stream that we did this most recent Friday. I don't know, the 4th or something, 6th. Doesn't matter.
Nope.
We did a stream of Arnak.
Lost Ruins.
Lost Ruins of Arnak.
Yes.
I really wanted to say Lost Temple of Arnak.
No.
Lost Ruins of Arnak.
The Lost Ruins
The
of
Lost
Arnak.
Ruins of Arnak.
From Czech Games Edition.
Yep.
Indeed. So we did a little 3-player stream. I thought about inviting Megan on, and then I looked and saw that it was overwhelmingly on BGG best at 3.
It was best at 3, but it wasn't like overwhelming.
It was pretty solid. Like, it wasn't bad at any other player count, but
still good at recommended at 2 or 4.
Yeah, 3 was definitely the consensus best though. For like if you looked in the best column. So anyway, we did a 3-player game.
On the Temple of the Eagle or Bird or whatever you want to call it.
The
Easy mode.
basic
Yeah, the
easy
basic
front
one.
side.
Might as well had a Starbucks cup on it.
Yep.
How basic it was.
We had none of us played it going in, which
was not a problem because it is very easy to learn.
it was a little bit of a problem for me because like I was trying to do setup stuff while you were teaching. It's hard to split attention. I did catch on to purple points though.
Purple points.
Purple is points.
Remember, Zach? Purple points.
Purple points.
Purple
Peepees.
peepees. Speaking of peepees,
Where are you gonna go with that one, Jeff?
Do you need to go to the bathroom already, Jeff?
right here.
Yeah. You're not Jester.
Yeah, it dogs. It did not go well for me. I did not at any point feel like I had a strong grasp of like strategy, and I felt like I did a really strong opening turn where I bought the machete or whatever, but then like the next 4 cards that came out were all as good, if not better, and significantly cheaper. And it felt like every turn you were both getting to do more stuff than me. Like you were more efficient in accomplishing more on your turns. So I rapidly felt like I was not anywhere near winning. And then I came not far out of placing, but I was third. I was last.
The spread of points during the game was only 6 at the end.
Yep. Out of a total of 57 points. So
about 10%.
10%, yeah.
57 points?
I think that's what I had.
70,
you were in
you
the
had 71.
Oh.
I was
I
going to
had
say, I thought you were well in the 60s.
and Adrian had 65.
Oh, okay.
So still.
Then out of 71. So
yes.
less than 10%.
Yeah, roughly 10%.
Yeah.
If I'd had roughly 10% more.
That's very true, especially when we decide to talk slowly.
At some point, we will purposely talk very slowly, so people listening on 2.25, whatever nightmare.
This is how we sound.
To be fair, if you're not listening to us on 1.5, we sound like we're drunk because we are. Lost Ruins of Arnak. It was very, very close.
It was very close.
I went more of a.
Have you described the game yet at all?
It's a deck builder action, worker
a very
selection.
very light deck building. And you get some fears, and then it's worker placement, and then you get resources, and then you use those resources to go to more dig sites that have better things on them, and then you move up your spyglass for your searching, and then your notebook for your writing.
Because you're researching, you're looking in the runes, and you find new stuff, and then you write about it. And so that's what.
And it's a big long track that the higher up you go, the more points. You get a bunch of rewards depending on which thing you're moving up.
And then if you're the first person there, you
get points. It's like 21, 20, 19, 18.
Well, not just that too, but I mean, if you're the first one on at a specific spot in the game,
there's bonus tiles.
Isn't that right, Adrian? Isn't that right? If you get there first,
so I've been told. I did not experience this firsthand.
I only experienced very few.
You
to be fair,
twice.
To be fair, when you got to the end on the temple, you did get one.
I did. This is true.
You did. You finally got one.
It gave you a tablet that you ended up with like 2 tablets at the end of the game that didn't do anything.
Sure did.
I liked, especially towards the end, the like chaining of your actions because you needed to really program out what you wanted. You needed to go here to get this item, and then you needed to use this assistant to turn it into something else. That way you could then on your next action move your spyglass up. And Adrian and I needed to race to the top. We had to each move like 4 spaces on that track, and the only way I even made it is by doing a 6 exploration, like tier 2 dig site that ended up giving me a ruby because I needed like multiple rubies. And at the end, as you guys were going through your turn, I was just agonizing over like how to make it to the end. And then I realized, like, oh, I can go here, and then I can use an assistant to turn to like upgrade a resource, and then I'm good. And I didn't have to worry about like a draw off the top of the deck to see if that would give me enough to be able to do it, because I also needed to use my revolver to
overcome
the Guardian. Befriend or earn the respect of by shooting it, because you need an exploration to a compass. To be able to load your revolver and shoot a Guardian. I
like how I did load a revolver.
Yes, like a magazine. Yep. Yes. So we had to. We kind of all went a little bit different routes. Like I had a lot of Guardians that I had. What was it? Overcome. I'm not killed. Yep. Not killed. Overcame.
Sure.
They did. I overcame a lot of Guardians, and. But that was like 20 points just for all the Guardians I got.
I made it a point in my last round to get my second Guardian because I could see your big pile and was like, he can't have 15 points more Guardians than me, but maybe 10 will be okay.
But Zach didn't really had one?
Yeah.
I had one.
Yeah.
So you focused a lot on that. I focused a lot on the research track.
I explored new dig sites a lot in the game, which opened up more spots for everyone to be able to go to, but not all are all positive.
No, and it's still hard to go to some of those other ones because you got to spend so many cars and planes and boats and shit.
Yes.
A boy does bring up a good point that I could definitely see it being a hard-ish to follow stream game.
Yes.
Especially because a lot of the stuff we're doing is like the cards we're playing. Like it was a big board first of all,
very big,
and it was angled in such a way that we had in order for us to actually
fit it on the
stream, it had to be turned on its side, so you couldn't see as much of a. It was like top down.
Yeah, it was horizontal where it should have been vertical.
Yeah,
and like Pizza Snob says in chat, like I was going to point out, like deck builders in general are really hard unless you have a very clear area where it's like zoomed in. You can focus. Like I'm playing this card and it has this and this, and so I do this.
Yeah, which we had for you
a little bit of a play
area,
but it was so zoomed out to see the board, you couldn't see exactly what card. You could see that I was playing cards and saying I was doing stuff, but it's not the first time we've had that difficulty with a deck builder on a stream.
Yeah,
especially again with that huge board forcing you to be so zoomed out.
If it was so zoomed out, you wouldn't be able to tell what the hell we were even doing if you could see everyone.
Exactly.
You could Bob could make out that there was a bunch of iconography. But he was like, there's a ton of iconography, which already is hard to grasp if you're not there learning it. But then also at this like zoom level, unless you're watching it on like a 50-inch. 4K TV at full 1080.
If you're like watching on your phone, it would not be a good one for that.
Coming soon to a computer monitor near you.
I found the game okay to mediocre. It did not excite me. I did not it wasn't like, yay, this is fun. It was like, this is a thing we're doing. And now we're done. And that is nice. I would.
Oh, okay. I misread that at first.
Me too. I would give it another shot. I think at the end of the stream I said that I'd be fine if I never played that again, and I would. Like I'm not going to lose sleep over not ever playing it again. But Nick said he felt very meh on it his first time, and then he played it on the opposite board, the reverse side, the snake side,
Snake Temple,
and that was a lot better. And then
so much so that he has never touched the other side since, and plays it a ton on Board Game Arena.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Yeah, BGA
or one of those sites.
One of those.
So I would give it another shot on the snake side just to give it a fair shake. But I feel like for me, it was a case of like it in trying to be a deck builder and worker placement and whatever you want to call the resource management, move up the exploration track portion. It's like 3 parts of a game in one. It didn't really do great at any of those parts, and they certainly weren't. The sum of the game was not high enough that there's way better deck builders, there's way better worker placements.
I enjoyed it, but I think I said afterwards, I'm like, I liked this, but also I'm glad that look, Jeff owns it, so I have no need for me to get it at all.
Yeah, I want to say that was like the first game I bought post shutdown.
That seems right.
Yeah, because it came out about this time last year, I think. and it's been almost impossible to find since then. But it is a very hard medium.
Yeah.
The most medium weight game that you will ever play.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I look forward to trying it again on the Snake side, but I did enjoy the game. I just wish it wasn't so big.
Yes.
Everything about it is huge.
Well, and especially because like they have huge chunks of the board and then like a sideboard that are just resource
Pools.
depots. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like those don't need to be part of a board ever.
Mm-hmm.
Like so many people nowadays have, like Paul has his wooden bowls. I have these little glass like jars.
Yeah.
You know, people carry like the silicone baking cups. Like there's so many other options for holding tokens and things. You don't need to make a space for it on your board. All it does is make your board take up that much more table space and be that much more obnoxious.
And it is an optional sideboard. It is not a piece that you need.
But there's still like the spot clearly for the decks and stuff. And like you don't need, I think, stuff like that. If it's making your board bigger, if you can find a way to incorporate it nicely into the layout where other things are happening around them, then maybe sure. But
the
could have cut that off.
The general art of the game was also very enjoyable. It looked it looked very pretty.
The art was nice.
Yes,
it was a cool jungle that you're exploring deeper into.
And when you did your research track, like you were looking at various like temple wall carvings and stuff like that as you went up, that were all unique.
Really fit with that theme of using the microscope to look at something and then coming along later with your notes to take a note about
magnifying glass.
Did I say telescope?
You said microscope.
Wow. Man.
Look at all those wall carvings with your microscope.
Hey, I want to know about the bird germs that are in the temple, okay?
Yes, there you go.
Yeah,
it's a worker placement deck builder of the most medium you've ever played. Which I would say as someone, if you were someone that was wanting to get into the board game genre like this,
it'd be great.
It'd be fantastic. It's another really easy to learn middleweight. Here's these mechanics that you can learn: deck building, worker placement, resource management, and it does them all at that right difficulty level to where you'd be like, well, what's another game that uses this mechanic? And then I can go and play that. And now I already, that's how that mechanic worked in this game, X game, and now I can go play this other Y game. Like how Wingspan did with its engine building.
For sure.
Yeah. Yep.
So that was Lost Ruins of Arnak. Does anybody else have anything else they want to chime in on it right before we move on? I don't want to take up too much time because we all have a ton of games to talk about.
The components were very, very nice.
They were good.
It was neat that they weren't just
like,
chits.
I like
the
tablets gems and the arrowheads and the tablets were great.
Yeah. Components were also very, very good.
Yeah. On that note, Jeff, would you like to take lead on what we've been playing this time?
Oh my
Mixing
God.
Just as an FYI, we've played, like you said, a ton of games. Like we were listing them. It's like, we have like 7 games each that we've played.
Yeah.
So we're gonna mention some of them and only dig deep into 1 or 2 each.
Yeah. We started back up our King's Dilemma game that we started up like 2 years ago.
Yes. I looked at it. It was actually March 4th, 2020 was the last game we played.
2020.
Yes.
Okay, so it was a year.
I believe it was the last. It was the second to last.
Because I was not at the last game night because I was sick.
Yes.
Yeah.
With whatever I had. There's no way to know.
No way to know.
No way to know. No way to tell.
Could have been anything.
Could have
been a boat.
Could have been a boat. I bought the boat in Lost Ruins of Arnak, by the way.
I don't think you were sick with a boat.
How do you know?
How do you know?
Did you test and did he come back negative on the boat test?
They wouldn't test me because I hadn't been on a boat recently.
Yeah.
What the fuck is happening?
But we started up King's Dilemma. We had to have our rules refresher. I was like, how does this game work again? And it's also come up that Jeff is winning this game a lot, but also winning might be totally meaningless and we have no idea.
And I just want we forgot so much about the game that Paul and I had grabbed our clans,
factions, your houses.
Yeah, and I remember when we were done playing, I was like the previous 3 years game, I was like, man, I remember getting shit on the entire time and looking through it, and I'm like, man, I did a lot better than I thought. And Paul was just like, man, I did a lot worse than I thought, and why am I not getting these things? And then all of a sudden we looked at it and I'm like, Wait, no, we switched.
We looked at who was winning and who was in what place, and he was like, nope.
Yeah.
Zach, Paul, swap houses because you totally had the wrong ones.
Yeah.
To be fair, you both had nautical themes.
Yes, nautical themes, and mine was named House Maze, and his was named House Coulterson, and that's Colt, CULTERSON.
Okay.
I should have looked at that and been like, this is the kind of name that Paul. This is a Paul name.
Mine's House Thomas, and I have no recollection of why I named them that in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah,
great.
Maybe it was Game of Thrones related. There was King
yeah, but
Thamen. Was it Thamen? Tommen. Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah.
But apparently I've had to name like 3 or 4 of these fucking kings, all variations of the name Tom. So I'm running out. But King's Dilemma was fun.
It was.
We got to break out the Edge of Darkness metal money that I got with that AEG card crafting game that I've stripped parts out of to use in other games because the game sucks.
Yeah.
But the metal money, quality.
Although
it's in 4s.
It's in 4s, but in this game
it's 1, 4, and 10.
Yeah. Which makes sense in Edge of Darkness, but not anything else. But what's funny is that in this game it's 1s and 3s. Mm-hmm. And so we just and that includes the power. We were just like, you know what? These powers mean 4 now.
Yeah, because now we're 1s, 4s, and 10s.
Yes. But no,
it was very enjoyable.
It was very enjoyable. We had
played two rounds. I think. Did we do one?
We only did one, and it took it was 6 rounds of voting or whatever.
Yeah,
and we found we found a witch. And then
they were like, send an army for the witch, or be like, well, you don't really have to worry about this witch. And then they're like, you should worry about things.
No, it's
because you didn't deal with this.
If you don't want to deal with the witch, and then I had to deal with that shit. And so, it was funny that probably because of poor shuffling, we immediately had to deal with the consequences of that
multiple times.
Yeah.
And then there was a sort of betting thing that was on the bank that we created, and everyone went out on the bank, and we had to wait for one card to come up about the bank.
It never did.
And it never did. And I didn't invest, which I thought guaranteed that it was definitely going to come up, but it didn't come up. So I lost nothing.
Yep.
And everyone else lost money. That means also nothing. Money is just here's money. Here's money.
Yeah.
And then you can get some points based on whatever track.
Sure. All I know is that I'm still doing horrible in that game.
And apparently I'm still doing great, but who knows what that means?
Yeah, exactly.
Did it negatively impact your experience to not have a giant quill?
Very. I was just like, what's the point of this fucking game if I don't have a quill to write?
We should have just thrown this in the garbage.
Yeah, exactly.
At the brewery.
That's
like Paul did with Pandemic Legacy Season 2.
Which broke my heart a little bit.
He was like, well, we're done. Trash. The whole box. What was it? Was I doing Jime?
You
Jime.
Yes.
Jime. I jimed. We jimed. We finished our jiming in 2 sessions. Was it 3 sessions?
3 sessions.
3 sessions. It was fairly short for a jime. This is the first DLC campaign from the base set. It seemed like it had a lot more choose your path stuff in there. So maybe if another path was taken, we might see a little more content than what was in there. But it was only 7 or 8 missions from start to end. We had to save the Thane's son because he was sick.
And we had to go get mushrooms or something.
A flower. An
An
elven flower from an ancient area in the Blue Mountains, which is kind of the west of the Shire. But we had a warg that could talk following us the whole time and hunting us. Mm-hmm. That was kind of the final encounter.
Yeah.
And she was shredding the flowers as we were trying to finish
the
campaign.
And then we finally had all right, well, it's time to fuck you up now. And boy, did we. We just kept attacking her.
Well, it was interesting because she had doppelgangers because they all rolled in mud and we couldn't tell which one was which.
But then the first one
we killed was the one that was her.
Was okay.
And then we had multiple and then we had a chance to be well, do we let her live and feel sorry for killing her wargs that were raiding the Shire, or do we just murder her? And we just murdered her.
Murdered.
Yes. But it seems like we got the good ending, so who cares?
So now we have one more campaign, which is the DLC for the expansion.
Okay.
Yep.
Just in time for the other expansion to come out at some
the
point.
Rohan Gondor expansion that will come out later this year.
Yep.
I can't keep up. Like, I got into Mansions of Madness 2nd Edition way too late, and Megan and I have not been able to keep up. And then I got Jime, but I'm never going to catch up on the expansions. You guys are already basically done with Jime. You're going to be done with Jime like twice over by the time
Yeah.
I get anywhere, and then you've started Descent. Yeah.
Spoilers.
I know.
Okay.
But yeah. Is that it for you, Jerf?
Probably.
Do you want to race through anything? Touch up?
I already talked about Blood Bowl, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had the first bloody minute
Now we know.
like 3 weeks ago.
Now we know.
There's gonna be
Now-
another. There's gonna be another game tomorrow. So next week.
Okay.
Or Blood Bowl.
Yep.
Cool. Zach, do you want to go next?
Sure. So some of the games that I just played quickly outside of the couple I'm going to mention, Six Nimped. We played that with 6 players. It was a lot of fun. I was doing really great in that game until I wasn't, because we played like 4 rounds.
I feel like that's how that game goes.
Of 3 of the rounds, I was like, it very much was a like, oh, I'm liking this rhythm of, by the time it gets to me, somebody like the car, like one of the piles falls and I get to play free, basically. And then the last round, the opposite happens, and it did not go
it kept
well.
Coming to you, and you were the one that had him fall.
It was rough. Paul ended up getting the win, and actually I went to 3rd place because of it.
Ooh.
But it was still a great game.
You had a good ride and high.
Yes.
No one could take you out. I was watching that before King's Dilemma.
Yeah.
And people were trying to get you, and you were not being able to get got.
Nope.
Until they did.
Until, yeah. So, oh no, the consequences of my actions. What are you doing here? So I had that, and then the other ones I can't remember at the top of my head, so I'm not even going to worry about them. 2 I'm going to talk about, 2 weeks ago, we finally got to open up on Clank Legacy.
Yeah.
Because we need more. I need more campaign games in my life.
Yeah, naturally.
We keep finishing Jime campaigns and starting them back up again. So why doesn't that mean we can't start another one?
Yeah, we finished a campaign, so then I can start something else. But then I also have to start.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is V, Wes, Jeff, and I.
And V.
He said V.
I said V.
Oh,
And
okay.
then
She was the first one.
She was the first
Oh,
one.
He said,
I see.
Yeah.
V, West, Jeff, and I.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And
You know what? I thought you said
V?
The Wes,
Wes.
so we could
The
define
Wes.
exactly which Wes we were playing
Yeah.
with.
I mean, there are like 4 Wes's in Slack, or at
This
least
is
there
true.
were at one point.
yes, and my middle name is Wes. So
I always forget that.
yeah,
I don't like it.
I could, it could have been Wesley, but then that would have been Zachary Wesley McAnally. That's too many. It's too many E's at the end of that.
Mhm.
I mean, aren't they almost all Y's?
Yeah, but the sound is an E.
Oh, I know.
But for Clank Legacy, so this is in the universe of Acquisitions Incorporated,
The Penny Arcade long-running
D&D thing.
comedy-ish thing.
Yeah.
Sure.
So in this one, instead of we're trying to delve into like a dungeon to go get treasures to do the best. This one, like, you're going through like a land, I guess, and so like there's like the scarred land is like the bottom half, and then the regular part is up top.
It's how far away you're getting from the village that
from
you
the
started.
village, exactly.
Because we had to name the village.
Oh.
We had to name our tavern.
Yeah.
That map makes so much more sense now.
Yes. But it plays, at least right now, plays pretty much like 90% like Clank.
Yes.
You're playing cards. You are.
But when you visit certain spaces, you get to read from a book. There's a big book of numbered paragraphs.
Yeah, and a lot of those will give you like contracts and things that are like, hey, go do this thing. Hey, if you have this artifact, go bring it to this person here and go read some stuff, right? And so if you remember,
get a card.
Yeah, you get a card. You get to write stickers.
It's called like a deck of things.
A deck of things. Yeah, deck porn. I forget. Yeah,
it's the deck of the cards that are the story legacy deck, basically.
Yes. But this first one is we're basically trying to prove that we're good enough to do this thing. To join Acquisitions Incorporated.
Sure.
We're
not interns. But apparently there are interns at some point.
Yes. Yeah. We all start off with the same, with the same cards like Clank, like you don't have your own unique decks yet. Maybe we will at some point. I don't know.
It has a Charterstone-esque like checkbox on the box sort of system, where you do certain objectives and you mark off on the box, and when you fill out a row on the box, you get a towards like a track that lets you do stuff.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's like you get promoted and things like that.
Yeah.
But the two main things I want to mention is one, it's very funny. We like all the little jokes in the story and things like that were
humorous without
very
being
humorous. Like
trying too hard.
Yes, exactly. And I agree with Wes that it definitely adds to Clank, because with a lot of Clank, it's like you have to go and get the artifact and then come back, but that's all you really care about as much. But this one, it's like there are story things that you want to learn more about and do, like, so it gives
and your
you
own personal objectives for your box, because each of the boxes is different.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so you have your own, like you have more stuff that you actually care about, and just finding out more of the story things is always cool. And then another one is, if you don't know how the game ends, it's once somebody reaches, like you have to get an artifact and then go back to the main, the town. But if you grab an artifact and then you have a card, you have one of the contracts, it's like, hey, go over here and give that artifact to somebody. You're like, oh, I'll do that. And then you get this cool little thing and you're like, great. And then you realize, oh shit, I still need an artifact to actually leave. Then
to score more than zero.
You then go back to try and get an artifact, but then you get caught in a spot where you can't leave, and then you get 0 points and you die. Or you not die, you get knocked out.
Yeah.
It wasn't
I think
great.
Zach's talking from personal experience.
Did someone experience this?
I experienced that. Yes.
You got an artifact, and then you gave it away, and then
it was like, and then I started going back, and then like we read in the rules, it's like, oh shit, I need an artifact.
You need an artifact to score anything.
Yeah.
Even if you're above the zero line, you still need an artifact.
Wow. Yeah. Well, and it's funny is I had enough shit.
Because you'll still score.
Yeah, I had enough shit that I would have been second without the I had enough to get like third or second without even getting back to the inn, because you get 20 points for leaving back there. But I just, because I didn't have an artifact at all, meant nothing.
Zilcho.
So I learned that lesson.
But you also pulled off like not taking any damage, even though you clearly had by far the most for like 5 pulls or something insane.
I want to say the first damage that I took was self-inflicted.
Yeah. So. Yeah. It was nuts.
Fuck you, Boyd. Yeah. No, so that was Clank Legacy was fun. We'll play it at some point.
Yes, it was very good.
Yep. And then the other campaign game that we've played is I got my copy of Descent, Legends of the Dark, which is in the same vein of Imperial Assault and Jime and Mansions of Madness, those sort of things.
Descent 2nd edition, Descent 1st edition. Really, Descent is like the progenitor of all of those games.
Yeah, in a lot
for
of
Fantasy
ways.
Flight.
Fantasy Flight,
but like going back to Hero Quest, I guess is the kind of like the OG.
Yeah. So this one, I will go ahead and say, definitely has the best app implementation that I've seen so far, which means if you like app implementations, you will like that a lot. If you don't like the app implementation, you're going to hate how much it uses the app.
That's
because boy, does it use it a bunch.
Yes.
For like everything, basically.
A good amount of it, yeah. I still think there's a lot that isn't involved on the app, but there are definitely a lot of people that are like, oh, if you just, pretend these things or whatever, you could just play all on the app. And I'm like, you're not wrong, but you're still an asshole.
Because it tells you how to lay out the map like the apps do, but your minis and exactly where they are and stuff like that is not on the app.
Mm-hmm.
How the monsters spawn are, but when you attack, it's all in the app, and really you just roll dice and put your successes in there. But it's your character sheet and your weapon and your skills. That's all not in the app, but you unlock like new things all in the app. There's an overworld map that you like have a town that you're out of, and you craft, and you get crafting materials as you explore, and that's all in the app.
Yeah. And you can get like your weapons can have like different hilts and different like pommels, and like you can get, but that stuff's handled in the app as well.
Yeah. And when you modify a weapon, when you attack with it, the app is actually doing the rolling for if that weapon activates its 15, 20, 50% chance of, dooming or exposing or healing or whatever like that. Just when you do the attack in the app, it makes the roll in the app. It's not something that you're having to roll for, which is neat and allows them to make a bunch of different like modifiers for all of your different weapons and stuff like that you can find recipes for and craft and then attach.
Yeah. And like enemies.
But there's no physical cards for that.
No, there's no physical cards. And like enemies have weaknesses, but we don't know what the weaknesses are when you first fight an enemy. Like you fight a bandit and you're like, it has 2 like diamonds underneath with question marks. And then you're like, oh, I'm going to attack it with piercing. And then you find out that it's weak to piercing. And then it gives you an extra damage for every success that you have. So then in the future, and it knows that you know that. And so it'll show it in the future of bandits will have, like specifically bandits will have this weakness to piercing. And it's like, oh, I've got piercing. I should go attack them. And you can go attack
and then zealots could be weak to something else.
Yeah.
But we still haven't found out what the second weakness is for
it might
bandits.
Be magic or something like that.
Yeah, there's some other damage type we haven't seen yet.
Yeah.
Or because we have like crushing, piercing, slashing, but that's all the weapons we've done so far.
Gotcha.
But so that's one of the 3 main things about Descent is the app, which is really good. The second one.
It also helps that we had a giant TV next to us that we didn't have to look at Zach's phone. And it was up on a big screen, and that makes it very, very easy to tell what's going on the map besides just the physical thing that's in front of us.
Yes.
And that is a very specific
privilege
luxury of what we have.
Yep. And we're
playing at Paul's place, right?
Yes. So we've done that for Giant, we've done that for this, we've done that for Mansions, and it's
very nice having a TV like right next to your table.
Yes.
That you can just Airstream to.
Exactly.
AirPlay, whatever.
Sure.
Multi-$1,000 trailer too.
Yes. So that's the app. And also like it so far it's definitely a lot more story based than
if you know what Descent the computer game is, you're old. Like me.
There seems to be like there was a surprising amount of like cutscenes and stuff like that in this.
A lot of voice acting in between adventures, in the middle of an adventure. Like when we found the boss in the first one, there was a little cutscene with like voice acting, animations. It's kind of one of those like 3D, 2D sort of animated styles where it's like it's clearly like a 3D model, but it's in like a 2D art stance.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it has a little motion to it, but not like a lot.
Yeah. But then there's like they're, the characters and stuff are talking to each other and things like that. It's a lot more, not vague, but it's a lot shorter and like Giant and stuff like that, where it's like, oh, this happens. And then that's it. But this one was like a whole conversation happens in between people. There are some funny parts, but that was cool. The next one is the minis. These are definitely the best quality minis that I've seen Fantasy Flight do.
Yeah, they're big, they're elegant. They're in a weird, I don't know what material they're made out of.
It's real light, but not in a like fragile way. I think they have a new way of making these minis, but it's like
it's almost like injection molded or something. It's like they feel molded.
Yeah. But the quality of them is definitely more on par with like CMON or maybe some like Games Workshop.
Yeah,
and
they
stuff like that.
feel like hollow almost. But like very detailed.
We'll just cut one open. See what.
Well, you can see in the bottom of most of them.
And
the minis are cool. The way you differentiate like Bandit 1 versus Bandit 2 versus Bandit 3 is kind of like this little colored Lego piece on the bottom, which was an interesting way of doing it.
And they have little notches there too if you're colorblind, so you can put them in. It's like this is 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
So,
oh, cool.
Yeah. And then the next one, and the big reason why it's so expensive is the 3D terrain.
Yeah. So the box is actually two boxes. There's the box of like the game and materials, and then there's just a big box of terrain.
Yeah.
Like thick cardboard, punchboard, thick punchboard terrain.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like the flimsy Terraforming Mars thin-esque Hero Quest like terrain, where the Hero Quest terrain was very thin, like paper stock. Yeah. Card stock. This is like punchboard thick
of
terrain.
Like trees and stairs and tables and cauldrons and
so the game can actually take place over 3 tiers of height.
Yeah, it has columns where you can actually go up different levels, and it is very impressive looking, but it takes up a lot of space.
Yeah.
The board was like the first mission. We were like, how much bigger is this going to get?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
But it sort of gave an overview of like what the game can do with that terrain and its different heights and these stairs, and like you can like jump down towards like the back of an area, but you can't get back up anymore and you have to go back around the other way. I think one of the more impressive things was like an underlay. It's like these water underlays to where you would normally have like these, like an Imperial Salt, you'd have these big gaps in between your different tile layouts and be like, oh, well, maybe there's a wall or a pit or whatever. But that's this like just very thin cardstock underlay. It's like, well, now there's water there. So you can use that as terrain, and it's actually like underneath.
And it has lava. So it's water, lava, like spikes. We fell into a spike trap
at one point.
Nice.
But the terrain was actually elevated over, so like it was tall, and then the spike trap was underneath. So you actually saw the verticality in the terrain where you were in the spike trap versus where everyone was up above. And like someone could throw down a rope and you could go to the little interact icon and then get back up.
Yeah.
But it was like vertical.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of verticality.
It
all fits together really well.
Mm-hmm.
It's built well. It's only like 18 different double-sided terrain tiles for terrain, but
it's cool.
It was super cool.
Yeah. I will say the missions definitely.
What's the third thing, Zach?
Oh, the third thing was the terrain.
That was the second thing.
No, the second thing was the minis.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
The terrain, that game looks fantastic on a table.
Yeah.
Yeah, the photo you shared in Slack looked pretty great.
Yeah. I mean, like what you said, Adrian, like it's almost worth buying for just that terrain, because you can make some really impressive looking adventures on that scale.
Yeah.
But what was even cooler is like each one of those trees on the app you can interact with and like harvest herbs or something, or heal.
So
pick fruit.
Oh, that's crazy.
Anything that was terrain, any terrain that you had, you could interact with in the game. So
through the app, like
through the
that's
app,
nuts.
yeah.
Like the well, you can like get a drink and heal fatigue, or you can climb up on it and like throw a challenge to the enemies and then fail and collapse the whole well down. And
yeah.
That sounds like something that happened.
And then generally during each of the adventures, you have like choice moments where a certain character will be able to like, oh, we should reclaim this tower for the barony or for the people, and that will change like a certain route that your hero will go through, valor or honor, depending on which one you decided to go through.
Yeah, we don't know, and it says it's going to affect end game choices and like end game actual things.
Yeah,
we don't know.
We don't know what it means yet.
Yeah.
but they have general like one character has like trust versus independence.
Yeah,
like, and you can kind of, or rebellion versus
I forget. Yeah.
But each one of the 6 characters has kind of one of those paths, so we don't know what that is yet.
Yeah,
but that was another interesting option.
Yep.
Right on.
But Descent, it's an expensive game. Boy, is it an expensive game.
Yes.
But
how much was it again, Zach?
I got it for $150 after tax.
Damn.
Yeah.
It is an expensive game, but there is some significant content there. Yeah. But your mileage may vary depending if you love or hate.
Mm-hmm. You can also get it for $138 from Cool Stuff.
Yeah.
And then realize, oh, you wanted the promo stuff, and then go buy it at the local store for $150, and then be like, "Hey, Cool Stuff, can I cancel my order?" And they're like, "No, it went out yesterday." Son of a bitch! All right, and now that person would then have to deal with returning the other game.
Seems like something that person might not want to do. Yeah. Did Black and Red have it with the promo stuff?
Yeah, that's why I got. Yeah,
yeah.
So
and the promos are cool.
The promo was one. It was like the one big enemy that had an ink wash version of it, which was cool. And then it was 12 of like alternate arts of your beginning weapons, which actually shows up in the app.
Because you have to choose which weapon you're attacking with when you attack.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But then and then the other one was these acrylic health dials that looked cool. That are nice.
Yeah, like nice.
If they still
like,
have any of those
thick plastic dials instead of just like your standard thick.
I will say the standard ones are
quality,
very quality. It's like if I put them in there in case people are like, oh, you know what, let's use these instead. I'd be like, it's understandable. I get it. Like the acrylic ones are nice, but also a little busy.
Oh,
they have like all the art and stuff, very flashy. Let's say like a silk button up of Goku level of busy.
Yeah.
Sure.
Someone knows what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what he's talking about.
Zach knows.
But yeah.
Descent exceeds expectations so far.
Cool.
We played 2 missions.
Well, on that note, I'll take over.
Yes.
Do you have any other ones you wanted to
can't remember
throw darts at? Okay.
Oh, yes.
There you go.
I don't know. Are you going to talk about Pandemic
Oh,
Legacy?
yeah. I forgot all about that.
Okay.
I'll bring that one out.
Okay.
All right. So for me, each of the last 2 game nights I played basically 3 games. And in each one of them, I've started this new thing where, like, because of my schedule, and because there's some other people who can get to game night kind of early at, like, say 4 instead of 6, I've started trying to do one heavy game starting before game night and then playing potentially into game night. Like, so a little while back, I talked about doing Terraforming Mars with, like, Wes and Mike Jones and Megan, and, like, that we did that before game night, and it worked great. So I've been continuing that. So a couple Wednesdays ago at DBC Arvada, I went early with to meet up with Chris. Megan was working, so she wasn't going to come, and he was going to teach me the cost. Zach ended up getting there early enough that we were still setting up, and somehow we talked him into playing with us. So we did a 3-player game of the cost, which, for those of you that don't know, the cost is a game from Spielworks, and it is about mining and then refining and then selling asbestos. And so basically you have like 3 countries where you can mine, refine, and sell asbestos. And as you do that, like, you have to pay to keep your workers safe. And if you choose not to, workers die. And then as more and more people die in any given country, that country might just shut down its entire asbestos industry. And then all of your infrastructure that you built up there, like you're building like ports and refineries and train lines, all of that is just gone, because like you take that whole little board, that country's board, and everything on it goes back in the box. Just, you get fucked. But you can kind of use that to attack, like if, somebody's got an island where maybe, for instance, they were foolishly left entirely to their own devices, and no one went over there and just set up a mine to just start killing people and wreck their island, then that person might do pretty well. Meanwhile, the other 2 people are like fighting over the remaining 2 islands, and that might not work out as well for one of them. It plays out over just like 4 rounds, I think.
4 rounds, yeah.
So it's a short game. You don't get a ton of actions, which is good, because, man, countries, they get real unhappy with workers dying in the mines and refineries fast.
It's very rude of them. It's just like, come on, it's just a couple people. It's okay.
It's like, I'm a mega corporation. Like, I got a lot of money here.
Yeah.
Let me just...
Yeah. I made $8. Isn't that worth a guy dying?
Yeah.
What is the value of human life? It's got to be way less than $8.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it was okay. I didn't enjoy it as much as I had hoped to.
I know you weren't that big a fan of each round there's 4 phases. The first phase is like the action selection.
And the action selection phase, I was not a huge fan of. Learning that it's a random setup, and so that it might be very different in the next time, would make me like it. Maybe that was just a bad.
Because what it is,
layout?
yeah, you're placing a little disc on 3 corners more or less, and that lets you determine which actions you're going to do.
In a 3-player game, there are 4 actions. They're hexes, and it's the 4 of them that are like placed in the center, and then the spaces around them are just generic get money actions. So like you could place on a corner of, say, the build a track action, and then adjacent to 2 of the empty hexes that are money, you get a bunch of money and just do a build track. Or if you have a bunch of money, you can go in like in one of the central vertices or intersections where you're on like all 3 of them or 3 of the 4 main actions. You get to do all 3 of those if you have the money for it. But the way it's laid out, there's only 2 spots that are like that where you're going to get to do all 3. You can also spend money to change what any given action is, so you can always do an action as long as you have the money to pay for it. It was interesting. I just don't know if I liked it.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
The action selection portion. The game itself, I think, has an interesting theme. And same thing, I don't know how I feel about it.
How did you feel about the fact that you basically were a kingmaker at one, like the last action you did?
Yeah, I didn't super love that.
Basically, what it was is because you can like you said, you can wreck a country, and then if somebody had stuff in that country, it's all worthless. And your only action you could do was to wreck the space where Chris was, and that didn't let him do anything. And then it let me
barely pull out a
victory. But it's also like the sort of problem is that even if you want to be like, well, I don't want to do anything because I don't want to influence,
then you're influencing.
Yeah. So
so I always, in any situation like that, I almost always, unless it's a game that's full of aggressive, like, fuck youing and somebody has fucked me and kept me from winning, in which case I will do everything I can to keep them from winning.
Yeah.
But in a game like this, like, nobody really fucked me. So in that case, I'm just always trying to do the best I can. So I'm going to keep trying to, like, get the most, like, in this game, money is victory points. Like, you're just trying to earn the most money. So I did what earned me the most money, which happened to nuke the land and cost Chris the victory.
Because I fucked over a space that he would have wanted to do other things for, causing him to have to do stuff on that one.
Yeah.
So...
yeah, because it was one of those things. It's like, oh, well, if you hadn't killed a worker here, if you just paid your people, like, you can blame me.
Yeah.
But my plan all along, like, you knew this was the only thing I could operate.
Exactly.
If you would pay, we'd have been fine.
Yeah.
So, I liked that each island has its own currency, and then there's like in theory, like it's definitely like a US dollars than whatever the local countries are. But there's exchange rates that are different, and you have to convert your big bucks that are points into regional currencies that you don't get to exchange it back out of.
Yeah.
But you have to use that to like pay for people and things. And that's like a decision point. Like it's one of the steps right before cleanup is like, do you want to change any of your big bucks into...
And you're doing that for future stuff too. And you're like, oh, so I want to go do this stuff over here. But then maybe at the beginning of the next round, Chris does some things. You're like, well, now I don't want to go there, but now I have wasted money, so I have to go there. Also, the mechanism for choosing first player each round. I know you didn't like that either.
Oh yeah, that was one of my huge complaints because the whoever kills the most people is first player. So like you're incentivized to kill people, which one does like speed up the game because you can nuke countries and everything. But like the game, in the rules and in the game description and stuff, like even at the very end, like it says, for the winning conditions, like whoever has the most money, blah, 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 blah. And then take a second to reflect on like the balance of like sacrificing lives for profit. And like the whole message of the game is like, this is supposed to be like a dilemma. And so if you are diligent and not killing your people, you're punished. And it gets to a point in the game where like, if you get in last, unless you go overboard with killing, like, because everybody's killing, like, it wasn't uncommon for us each to kill one.
Yeah.
But then the turn order just stays the same. So you have to, like, really go hard on killing people to get moved up in turn order. And that sucked. So I was in last the whole game. Like, I randomly got chosen last at the beginning because it's just random at the start.
Yep.
And then I never got out of that unless I just decided to just kill a fuckload of people, which would have been counterproductive because it would have shut down the countries faster. And as a country starts shutting down, like it buys less asbestos, so it gets harder and harder to sell asbestos. And I don't know. I forgot about that. I did not like that. That almost single-handedly ruined the game for me. But that's enough about the cost because I got other games I want to talk about, and I don't want to get too hung up on this one game. I played a weird poker game from Mike Jones. It was weird. I didn't like it.
If only he was still in the chat.
I know. He might be. I don't know. He might have jumped back on. I don't know. Anyway. And then I played some Onitama. I haven't played Onitama in a long time. It's good. And that was that game night at DBC Arvada. Then, in between the game nights, Zach and I, last Monday when we didn't record, Jeff was on COVID test isolation because of asshole unvaccinated coworkers. Zach and I were like, okay, well, if we're not recording, do you want to get in another session of Pandemic Legacy Season 2? So Zach came over. We did some Pandemic Legacy Season 2. We did the second half of November. It was almost a year to the day since the last time we played. And
it looks like the last time we played, we lost it, and it's because we were setting up 100, like all of this stuff to do. Like we have a final thing we had to do before the finale. Yeah. And that entire thing was about getting a supply center somewhere so that we could do it.
Yeah.
And then this one was about doing all of those things in one round, which we did.
Yeah, we actually were very accomplished. We did very well on like connecting, like getting some new cities like available and stuff. And like I'm not as worried about spoilers about this because now at this point it's like a 4-year-old game.
Yeah,
like
we started in 2017.
Yeah. But we were able to get some cities kind of connected and make a big push. And so now we're going into December, which if it goes well, in theory will be the end of the game. If it doesn't go well, we'll get a second shot at it and see how it goes. We have played the same characters for like the last, I don't know, 2/3 of the game.
Mm-hmm. This was originally a game that you started with Bob and
David.
David.
Yes, correct.
So we have two, actually technically, so we have 4 characters that have a bunch of abilities. And none of the other characters have shit.
A few of them have one ability.
One ability, so we're very
maybe you didn't kill one really early and needed to spread it out a little bit.
No, we didn't. No, and so it's one of those things of like, but like their exposure track is like over halfway, and I don't know when it has the ability to be killed.
There's no way to know.
No way to know. And so it's like one of the things of like, well, if any of these guys die,
we're fucked.
Especially 2 of our characters, which are like fucking
monsters.
My character is like the one that's like I have an extra movement now. I can take a card as an action. I can give a card as an action. I can spend a card to go anywhere. So that is 100% the give cards to people person.
Yeah.
And if that person dies, it's not gonna be good.
Yeah. Both of Zach's characters are super key. Like I've got like I can move myself around and I can move other people around so I can get people places, which is nice.
Great. Yeah.
If he died, that'd be traumatic. The other one is its usefulness is peaked and is tapering, and that's like it's really good at building stuff.
They're playing your character, Bob.
Hi, Bob.
Hi,
Bob. And then the other one of Zach's is really good at distributing supplies to keep the illnesses at bay.
Your one about building supply centers was key, like earlier, but at this point
it's like tapered.
Yeah, we don't need to build anymore. So.
But yeah, so we got one more to finish that up, and then we'll be doing season 0. So yeah, it feels good to be getting that one almost out of the way.
Yeah, it's good to finish a campaign game, but like many others, like that means I can start another one and then also start another one.
Exactly.
Yeah. Betrayal's right on that shelf.
Yeah. Yep.
Over there? Is that over there?
Yep. Mm-hmm. It sure is. Sure is. So that was Pandemic Legacy Season 0. And then at the most recent game night, I really only played 2 games, and one of them was Ponzi Scheme. It was really good. I played with all new players, and they did weird things and just immediately super crashed things. Like it was one of those games. It was like I kept being like, "How do you have money? Like why? How are
because
you buying?"
Nick didn't feed you money this time.
How are you guys like? I was looking at what they had coming due, and it was like, "I'll buy your internet for this much," and they'd be like, "Okay," and match it and take mine. It was like, you're gonna go bankrupt. You're gonna end the game, and they did, and I did not win. Megan did very well for herself.
Aha!
That is one of the games that I'm most sad that I don't like. The stream wouldn't work for that.
Oh, I know.
The only way I could think of is if like we had it like set up here and people could see all of our money, so they could at least track like how much. Does Jeff seriously have no money after that? But like everybody believes he has money, sort of thing.
The biggest problem is paper money, so it'd be hard unless you spread it way out. It'd be hard. You'd be like, okay, I can see there's some paper there. You'd almost need somebody to be a neutral ref type person, where like you at the end of your turn pass it, they count and like update a little counter on the screen I don't know. I'd almost
I've
volunteer.
definitely hit multiple times where I've been like, I have been able to exactly match.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And make it to the end of the round
Yeah.
with El Zilcho.
Well, and it would have to be one of the ones where none of us were
Able to see any screen.
Yeah, because if it was all there, it'd be like, look how
Then we'd
Adrian
have like one viewer. Like,
Well, that's why I say like I would almost volunteer to like run the stream and do that while like you two and somebody else played because I think it'd be I don't know. I'll have to think about that because it's such a good game, but I don't know how to make it really work as a stream.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's all I'm going to talk about. Ponzi. It was really I was really glad to get to play it again. I got a copy, which I'm double glad for considering news that's coming shortly. But the game I got to play, that one that was the early heavy game, was Indonesia. I've been wanting to play Indonesia for a while now. And so I coordinated with Mike Jones and...
Sorry. As soon as you said Indonesia, we both picked up our phones.
it's Mike Jones.
Yeah. No,
Calling
I'm
Mike
laughing. You said Indonesia, and then we both happened to pick up our phones at that exact
Okay,
same
let's,
moment.
let's just check out.
Yeah, he's talking about Indonesia.
Mike Jones is in his car right now. He can't listen.
Oh, boo.
Hook the stream up to Bluetooth, Mike Jones.
Yeah.
Come on.
Well, I don't know what his cellular plan is. You don't want to burn it all on Twitch streaming.
Yeah, you do.
I also don't know what kind of car he has. Maybe he can't hook up to Bluetooth.
I don't know.
You just put it. You just have it going.
Does
to
Mike
like
Jones have a car?
A cup
He
holder?
literally said he's in his car.
Well, I don't know. Well, that's,
Maybe he stole a car.
maybe.
True.
He seems the type.
He doesn't have time to set up the Bluetooth. He's got to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't hear it over the sirens.
He's just stealing cars to and from work Monday through Friday.
It's weird how we always find these stolen cars outside of the Wizards Gym.
Bob says in chat, drive safe, Mike.
Yeah.
So, anyway, Indonesia. Megan and I went early, and yeah, I will keep it very short. I see you signaling very short, Jeff. I see you. Yes, the game I am the most excited about, I will keep very short. Mike Jones met up early, along with Summer.
I'm just saying, I kept all of my games to like less than 10 minutes.
It did not feel that way. Go
ahead, continue.
It's too distracting.
No.
So I had to teach Summer and Mike Jones. It was their first time playing. Megan has played before, but it had been a long time. She couldn't even remember if she'd played. And then I started teaching. She's like, "Oh, I have played this." It was not negative like that. It was like, "Oh, I have."
Oh, I have played this, and then everyone bought everything out from under me, and I was fucked.
Yeah, her first game, I do remember.
I remember that. Yeah.
So we got there at 4 p.m. and we wanted it to be a 4-hour game. We were hoping to be done by 8. It ended up being closer to like a 5-ish, maybe even not quite 6-hour game.
6 hours?
No, it was like 5.
5
4 to
hours.
5. 4 to 5
4
hours.
to 5 hours.
Yeah. We got there at 4. We finished up, I think, sometime between 8 and 9. We finished up in time for me to still play Ponzi and 1 round of Root. But anyhow, it was a good game of Indonesia, like every game I've ever played of Indonesia is. I really love the game. I went very heavy on shipping and merging abilities. Megan went super heavy on a rice empire that strangely worked out for her. Mike Jones kind of diversified and went a little into merging, and Summer went kind of all over the place. Mike Jones took... At one point, Summer did a merge of spice and rice to make some siap saji, and thought that she had enough money to safely make the merger and get the siap saji and probably do very well. Mike Jones ended up having just enough to steal it out from under her, and then that set Mike Jones up in the long run to be able to win, despite the fact that for most of the game, he was giving me like half of his money or more, like 50 to 60% of his money he was making on the spice. On spice he was selling.
So much cooler now that I put my hair up.
Shocking.
Yeah. That he was shipping across my shipping things. Paul came by at one point and was like, 3 people own shipping routes? This is such a dumb idea. Which,
you know what? That sounds exactly like Paul.
Yeah.
I've never heard a more perfect impression.
Which, for one, no, in theory, you shouldn't let one person dominate shipping. They will win. And that's what I was well on my way to winning, dominating shipping. And
but
then,
if Paul was dominating shipping, he'd be like, "Oh, just let me dominate shipping."
oh yeah, of course. Why would someone else buy shipping? That's dumb. I'm already in shipping. Why would you buy shipping?
Just perfect. Yeah, there we go. Get the emojis flying.
No, so I was doing very well on shipping, and then both Megan and Summer were like, "We are tired of giving you substantial amounts of our profit," and they kept making shipping companies, and I kept merging it away from them, but I ended up spending too much money merging the shipping companies away and building my shipping empire that I ended up losing. Final scores were like, I had, actually I have the scores here on my phone. I saved them because I knew I was going to want to talk about this game. So I came in dead last, good teacher, $817. Megan came in third with 1,111. And then Summer came in second, 1358. Mike Jones won 1378.
That's pretty close.
And at one point, Summer was like, if you beat me by 20 points, I'm going to be so mad about this little random thing. And then he beat her by exactly 20 points.
Nice.
So it was a great game. Had a bunch of fun. Everybody in that group was a bunch of fun to play Indonesia with. I would happily do it again. And in fact, I think this upcoming Wednesday at Strange, we're going to be playing Great Zimbabwe for our early heavy game of the week. And I am absolutely loving getting to go early to some of these breweries, get some drinks, get in a heavy game, and then be able to socialize the tail end of game night. It's really, really working out nice for me. So that's it. That's what we've been playing. That wraps up all of that stuff. So we can move on to some banter that we will also keep probably pretty short, so we can do news and Kickstarters and then get the hell out of here without this being like a 2.5 hour long episode. So since you're both on your phones, first bit of banter: the city has died. Denver is engulfed in toxic fumes. It has been real bad. It's
been the worst and second worst air quality in the world for the past couple days.
Weekend, yeah. Although at one point there was a city in Russia that Megan, she was looking, she's like, we're second right now to a city in Russia that has 5 times the air pollution we do.
Oh, Jesus.
And
I know we were kind of up there with Johannesburg for a little while.
Yeah. The city in Russia I looked up, they're known for having black sky day advisories, and they're just notorious for being super polluted. It was like, oh, well, I guess at least we don't live in a weird industrial coal city in Russia.
Yeah. But it was very hazy. It was, you couldn't see the mountains. You could barely see the skyline of the city.
You could barely see the fucking sun.
Yeah. It was bad.
I left work at 6 o'clock on Saturday and took a picture of the sun. It looks like something from some dystopian sci-fi movie where the sun died.
But I went to the Cherry Cricket for the first time and had a very delicious burger. It recently won a contest for most delicious burger in Denver.
I don't think I've ever been to the Cherry Cricket. Way down in Cherry Creek?
Yeah. There's the Cherry Cricket right by Coors Field that took over for Breck.
Oh, that's right.
It's the
Is
same.
that where you went?
No, I went to the one in Cherry Creek.
Gotcha.
I guess it used to be a truck stop.
Oh.
Back before Cherry Creek was a thing, it was just like a fucking truck stop that Cherry Creek has been built up around. But it was very delicious. I also went to another award-winning burger place on Sunday, and I went to Snarf Burger.
What was the other award-winning burger place? Not Snarf Burger.
It was.
I mean, Snarf Burger is an absolutely award-winning.
Wow. That's not as exciting, though.
That's the Cherry Cricket? I don't know. I think the Snarf Burger's almost won as many or more since they've been open.
I thought there was a different place. I thought you were saying the Cherry Cricket and then another place and then also Snarf Burger. And I was like, well, what's the other place?
No.
I didn't realize the other place was
Snarf
Burger.
Yes.
The transition was weird.
I mean, there is also 5280 something burger. There's a burger spot from there, but I haven't tried them yet. I've kind of been on a burger tear lately.
So I recently, speaking of burger tears, Highland Tap and Burger used to be one of my favorite burger places when I lived in Sunnyside. And I didn't realize
they've moved to a bunch of places.
Yeah, and so I didn't realize that Sloan Tap and Burger right by Alamo down in Sloan's Lake is them.
Yep.
And then they have opening up right across from this Alamo, Westminster Tap and Burger. But I went to the Sloan Tap and Burger. It was not good. The burger was super mediocre. It was dry, a little bit overcooked. The service was hot garbage, which disappointed me because I got in there and I was excited that they have big notices that we just tack on 20% to every bill, so don't tip. All of our servers are paid, fair living wages and everything. And then the service was hot fucking garbage. It was like, that works a lot better if you still hire good servers.
And then I don't know. That's about it.
Okay. I tried.
We saw Suicide Squad.
Suicide Squad, real good.
So good.
Suicide Squad is very, very, very good.
Even Paul.
The
liked
Suicide
it.
Squad.
The Suicide
The
Squad.
Suicide
Don't just
Squad.
say Suicide Squad, or people are gonna be like, Will Smith? Who? What? Why are you a fan? What?
It's got the definitive Joker. What can I say?
God.
But the Suicide Squad was very good.
Yeah. Even Paul liked it.
Yeah, Paul liked it a lot.
He did.
Yeah, he did. I liked it a lot too. Megan, her first comment when the movie got done, she was like, that was pretty gory.
Yeah, she's probably not a fan.
She is not a huge fan of gore.
The traditional James Gunn level of gore, which I have not seen since Slither.
Well, because this was rated R, so
yes, this was hard R,
which lets you get that gore.
Yeah, so get it. What's the SNL guy's name?
Pete Davidson.
Yeah, Pete Davidson was in this movie.
He was.
I didn't realize the German accented hero / villain
Javelin.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's
Fula Borg.
Yeah.
He's got some hilarious YouTube videos where he does Americans, why is this thing? What was, I don't know. You got to look him up.
The videos are
in
hilarious. Pitch Perfect 2, and it was very funny.
I have not seen Pitch Perfect.
I didn't
nor
even
Pitch
realize
Perfect
that was
2.
him in Pitch Perfect 2.
Yeah.
Oh, Pitch Perfect 2.
I don't
Pretty good
know
series.
him at all.
You'll appreciate the videos. We'll show you after the show.
Okay.
It was really good.
Yeah.
Movies are happening.
Yeah.
Movies are
everyone.
happening.
For at least for a little bit, and then they're not going to be happening again.
And we did see Green Knight, but we talked about that in the engagement period, so we don't need to discuss Green Knight any longer.
Go to our Slack channel if you want to discuss Green Knight.
Huge threads
with Paul. And Thursby.
Dota
champion. Sorry about your Chen game.
Going back to food really quickly. I tried some mac and cheese from a local mac and cheese chain, like 2-spot chain. That's supposedly
Noodles and Company?
Local chain, 2 locations.
To be fair,
Noodles and Company is good.
And it's also from
local.
Denver.
It is also from Denver. A lot of the fast casuals are from Denver.
Yes.
It's
Chipotle.
Or like
Qdoba.
Colorado and stuff like that.
Is Qdoba also from Denver?
Qdoba, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
This was like the mac and cheesery or something.
Tokyo
I can't remember.
Joe's
is it really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Learning so much today.
It was like the mac and cheesery or something. I can't remember. It was right over off of 38th and Wads. It was okay. Yeah, they were like, "Oh, we won the Denver Mac and Cheese Fest in 2019," and it was like.
But have you had Kuma's mac and cheese?
I haven't been to Kuma's in a while.
Yeah, their mac and cheese is always fire.
Ooh, I might have to do Kuma's on Friday.
No, I think the last time you had mac and cheese is when I got the mac and cheese and I got the andouille sausage in there.
Yeah.
And it wasn't on the menu, but I knew they had it, and I was like, put that in the fucking mac and cheese. Yes.
I'll have to keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Well, it was for the burger of the month, so they probably don't have it right now.
Yeah. No,
but they had andouille on the burger of the month, and I was like, put that shit in my mac and cheese.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's all I've got for banter. Otherwise, I've just been doing a lot of work.
Yeah, beer is flowing hard flow on that beer.
Speaking of beer, I got another one to open here.
All my bosses, I've been running the brewery for like 2 days, Thursday afternoon, Friday, Monday, because they've been at a 3-day fish concert in Indiana, along with Lance.
I was going to say, is it the same one Lance has been at?
Yes, 100%. Yes. It's a huge outdoor one, so I think that's why it has a lot of attendance.
Well, and I remember when you told me that this was going to happen, you're like, they're going to fish in Indiana.
PH.
And I heard, and I was just like, why? Like in the back of my mind, I'm like, why are they fishing in Indiana? Like, what is about Indiana that makes them want to go fish?
They are also from Indiana, so they can probably do family things while they go back.
Yes,
fair enough.
Then they spent 3 days there.
Yeah,
so I'll find out tomorrow how things were.
Speaking of Indiana and fishing, fun fact about Indianapolis: it's the largest city in the United States not located on a body of water.
Huh. Now I know.
Yeah. There's no river like there is here in Denver.
There's no
river. There's no major body of water that Indianapolis.
No river even.
Nope.
Weird.
They are the largest city in the U.S. not located on a body of water.
Why do you know that?
Why do I know that?
Yeah, why do you know that?
Because I lived like an hour outside of Indianapolis, and that's something they think is really cool there.
Okay.
It's Indiana. They ain't got much else.
Yeah,
It's
I guess.
guys, we don't live near water. Isn't that awesome?
It just makes me think of like, where do the breweries get the water for their needs?
I mean, the city has water. It's not like there's just no water.
But like, where does the water come from?
Indy's body of water is I-70. Exactly. Yeah. Gotta fucking truck it in.
Yeah. I mean, what is the fucking Platte? Like nothing? I can wade across that shit day to day.
But back when Denver was starting, the Platte was like key to, Denver people settling down there. Like, oh, there's a river. We can get fresh water.
There's a tiny
Indianapolis,
river.
they were just like, this seems good.
Dig some wells. Yeah, I guess there's water down there. Drink your muddy water. When I grew up, we didn't have water.
You just drink dirt.
Speaking of big,
I squeezed water out of stones.
speaking of big concerty things, Lollapalooza also happened this weekend.
In Chicago.
In Chicago, which aside from the massive fucking bonkers crowds,
This would
that
normally
made me physically uncomfortable.
This would normally be our Gen Con arrival weekend.
Yeah.
Because last time we drove through Chicago and they were setting up for Lollapalooza and it was a fucking crazy shit there.
Yeah. I bring up Lollapalooza because fucking Limp Bizkit did a set that was like crazy big.
Yes, Limp Bizkit has had a new set. Apparently Fred Durst is very big on the TikTok.
Oh, is he?
Yes.
I did not know
and
that.
is also apparently very funny on the TikTok.
Huh. He
in his old man looking ways.
He dressed up very much like an old man.
Yeah.
For the show, which is pretty funny. So yeah, it was. I watched the video of it. It was a surprisingly good set from Limp Bizkit. Not something I thought I would ever say ever again in my life. Now that I'm older than 17. But yeah, surprisingly good set.
I'd buy that the someone with an Xbox username of yours.
Explicit content?
Yeah, with it's spelled exactly how you think it is.
Very leet speak.
Yes.
A lot of X's, a lot of underscores.
Yeah. The email account associated with that, no, I'm not going to say. It's also very leet speaky and related to heavy metal songs and stuff. Yeah.
Fantastic.
I was an edgy kid.
Photograph
from Wichita.
Hotmail.com.
No. No. Anyhow,
he was more of a Yahoo man.
I think that's enough banter.
Sorry, I got
no, I was definitely a Hotmail kid.
Yeah.
Enough of all that. Let's move on to some news and Kickstarters because there's no bloody minute this week. There will be next week potentially.
Yes.
And there will never again be Kingdom Death Hour because you guys aren't ever going back to that.
We got to play through Descent, man.
And Jime again.
I mean, Kingdom Death has had its own problems. Like they have like whole waves of stuff that's still being designed from a Kickstarter like 3 years ago.
I think it's like 4. I think we talked about it in our first 100 episodes.
I would not be surprised.
Not even
but I mean that Kickstarter that for 1.6 and the third wave of expansions, none of that has come out yet.
Yeah.
1.6 might come out before the end of the year.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things of whenever new stuff comes out for it, we would probably play it again. But we played a lot of it.
Yeah, 1.6 might get us to play a little bit, but
yeah.
Thanks for that.
Yeah.
It's going to play real great on the audio.
Yeah.
So we'll move on to some news and Kickstarter because we don't have those games to talk about right now.
First up in news, TMG, as we have predicted, and many people predicted, is practically done.
Yeah.
Once they lost the Orleans publishing to Capstone, everyone was thinking, hey, there's no way they're coming back.
Yeah, they don't give that up for no reason.
Yeah. But they are in virtual bankruptcy. Currently, the only employee is the owner from reporting.
So apparently that they sent out a while back, they did
I remember
become a shareholder of Tasty Minstrel, and a lot of people were like, well, that seems sketchy.
I don't understand how they didn't fix all of their problems.
Especially because it was shareholder, and it was still way too expensive.
Yeah.
But then all of those shareholders got an email that was like, hey, we're basically shutting down. Everyone's laid off except for me, the owner, and we're not doing any new games for a long time. We're selling off all of our existing stock. We're refunding our last Kickstarter, and maybe we'll be back in a couple years.
Emperor's Choice.
Yeah, Emperor's Choice. They talked about here. The 2017 title, Emperor's Choice, that is still not delivered, is now being refunded.
2017? Wow.
Yes.
Yeah. So, which, I mean, the fact that it has been sent, they haven't done a Kickstarter since 2017 also.
Yeah.
You know, which I'm glad they didn't like fall into that cycle that some do, the death spiral at the end where they keep doing a new Kickstarter to pay for the old Kickstarter. You know, that starts to feel like that game I played where you're constantly paying increasingly high taxes on loans you take.
Well, we need this next Kickstarter to pay for the previous Kickstarter.
Yeah.
And then
production costs on the last Kickstarter $3 million, so we need to make 3.5.
Yeah.
So they're for all intents and purposes bankrupt and gone. They technically exist. They are technically selling off existing stock.
The main game that they had that I would have wanted that I don't own is Orleans, but like you said,
Capstone has it.
Capstone has it now.
Capstone has it and will continue to print, and I think they've already released print runs of theirs.
Yeah,
potentially.
But like you said, Ponzi Scheme got that. Yokohama, they got the deluxeified version of that.
Did you get Duel also?
No.
Yokohama Duel?
No.
I think Paul has.
Paul
Duel.
has that, but I was like, from what I remembered, it wasn't too bad at 2 players. So
what's disappointing about this for me is, well, granted, we don't really do reviews anymore, but they were always pretty good about sending us games.
yes,
Like,
but also we
Reviews anymore is yet.
Sure.
the last one they gave us we didn't do. So
Downfall.
Yeah, we never did do Downfall.
because we played it and we're like, and then we're like, do we really want to do this? And then it's like,
now we don't have to worry about it.
We did a live stream.
We did a live stream. We did do a live stream.
We did
of it,
content.
yes. We did content, and then we're like, pandemic.
So much behind the scenes info for our listeners about how shady we are. Not much more news other than that. We'll see what the long-term future is of them. Maybe
2024.
or maybe
we'll see
Asmodee will buy them out and be like, they're now a subsidiary to get access to all of their old games.
I guess.
You never know.
Yeah.
So that's it for that bit of news. Moving on to Kickstarters then.
First up on Kickstarter this week, we have Earthborne Rangers. Very well funded, about $300,000 of its $100,000 goal, just under 3,000 backers, less than a week to pledge. Its most popular $150 pledge.
Indeed. So Earthborne Rangers is a cooperative deck building game for 1 to 4 players. And it's more like a deck construction, I think, than deck building. Like you put together your deck based on your character.
Yeah, your RPG character builder is your deck that you start.
Yeah. And then you go through this big, huge world that's all card based. And
it's like distant future Earth nature has retaken, and you're exploring this like ancient valley of lost technology or civilization or something.
Sure.
Yeah.
Crazy. Like the animals are crazy and changed and like do different things.
Have you seen Apocalyptica?
Yeah. Right.
If you hear screaming.
The main mechanisms of the game though, like
no, not Apocalyptica. That's the Mel Gibson.
Yeah, I was starting to get confused.
What's the other one?
With the crazy shiny bubble that mutates all the animals. Yeah.
Oh, Annihilation.
Annihilation.
I haven't seen it.
Really?
Wow.
It's good.
You should.
I like it.
There's a weird sharkadile.
I've heard
there's
some weird
all kinds of weird things in that movie. So anyhow, in this game, as you move and explore through this valley, different cards come out that are independent of your decks. Like you also will be bringing out your own cards that you can use to play and do things with. But all of the cards have different like challenges on them if you want to overcome them, and then they have these other like colored bars that correspond to like a die that you'll roll that will maybe potentially activate, like all of the yellow effects of everything that's out on the board. And different cards interact differently. So like predators will do damage to prey animals. Certain prey animals have the ability to maybe fight back, things of that nature. They have just a ton of different types of cards that you can scroll through and look through that go into your individual decks. You play this in a big, huge open world. They show a big map of it. Think it's kind of hex-based. It's not great resolution. Might be squares. I also don't know how much any of the things on that map actually correspond to how the game plays. Because it is all card-based.
You're just exploring various areas, and then the land itself is fighting back, or the land is alive and making things happen with that wildlife or rocks.
Indeed.
Or whatever.
Yeah. And that $150 pledge Jeff was talking about, one of the big things it adds is a campaign expansion. That adds 250 new Ranger and Valley cards and a campaign guide that turns it from just being a cooperative game where you're just doing things in the valley for shits and giggles and without regard to other games. This gives you like a storyline that you're working towards. Bunch of add-ons for like player mats and things.
Multiple play mats.
Just
like
2 so far.
Like a player play mat and then like a game play mat.
Yeah, so the Ranger playmats are for the players, and then the Valley playmat, in theory, you would only need one of those per set, because that's all the things that happen in the Valley. So, if you wanted to play with more, you can get another set of core Ranger cards to really let that deck construction run away.
Which is still like yet another 250 cards.
Yeah. So, it looks interesting. The art style it's pretty good. Some of the art is better than other bits, I think, on the cards. One of the other cool things they're doing with their shipping, they don't have any stretch goals. Their only real stretch goal is related to shipping, and that is unlocking production more than shipping. Is unlocking regional manufacturing. So if they get to a certain level of
like 2,500 per zone.
Yeah, is what it's. Although it seems like, because reading through it, it says just when they get to 2,500 backers, period. Which they're very close to. They're at 2,406 of 2,500,
Gotcha.
So they're less than 100 away. But they are going to manufacture in the United States, the UK, and the EU, and then ship from there. And so they're hoping that will dramatically reduce shipping costs and allow them to do more sustainable production in.
Yes, they want this entire game to be sustainable. On top of that, they want sustainable manufacturing processes or people that work with sustainable companies.
Yeah.
For the entirety of the game, where everything is either recyclable or compostable or disposable in some sort of sustainable way.
Indeed.
So wherever you're done with this game and decide to throw it in the garbage, it will not hurt the earth.
Sure.
Yes.
And beyond that, shipping is okay depending on where you live. Pending this, might change depending if
$15 to $50.
Yeah.
But maybe significantly less if they get that regional manufacturing off the ground.
Correct. So,
unless you live in Minnesota.
Yeah. Well, then you just have to pay state tax because apparently that's something Minnesota does.
That's something that happens now.
So yeah, that's Earthborne Rangers. If you want to go check that out yourself. And they are now showing that they're at 2,900 backers. So they did cross that. They just haven't updated yet. So
it was updated as of today. So
yeah,
the stretch goal update. So
maybe they'll update again later or something.
Maybe.
Next up in Kickstarter,
we have Arydia, The Paths We Dare Tread. Extremely well funded, 823,000 of its $720,000 goal, which seems super high.
Yeah. So you say incredibly well funded. It's not that far over its goal.
But
its goal was just crazy high.
Yeah. About 5,900 backers and 3 weeks left to go, which you can pledge this one for $190.
Yeah. It's also very expensive.
Because there's a lot in this game.
There is. So this is an open world campaign based cooperative fantasy role playing game for 1 to 4 players. So this is definitely the week of cooperative, at least these first two cooperative.
And the real hook to this one is all of the minis will be pre-painted.
Yep. And there are a lot of minis. There's a lot of stuff in this one. So they say it's a 1 to 40 hour campaign, so about an hour per play, up to 40 plus hours, as you explore the land of Arydia. And there's a lot that is kind of interesting about this. So this is coming from the designers of Zia, Legends of a Drift System.
Which have so many awards.
Which, yeah, I did not like, but that's neither here nor there. So one of the cool things up first is your characters and their minis are customizable. So you choose a face, a portrait, and then you choose one of the paths, and then the heads click into the bodies. The bodies are based on what path you choose.
That's fine. Don't worry about it. He accidentally he was trying to look for his phone and Apple Watch. Boop, boop.
So the bodies are related to the path that you have, and then the heads, when you've chosen the portrait to go with whatever path, they click together and you have a unique mini, or a customized mini, maybe not unique. So that's the first thing that's cool.
Does it list if they're like magnets, or is
it does not? It just says they click in.
Okay.
Later, it shows that the heads have like a really long spike on them. I don't know how easy it is to then pull it back out to maybe change it for a different playthrough.
That was something I always wanted somebody else to do for Kingdom Death Monster, and then have that available to play.
Like being able to click on the different bits of armor and stuff.
Yeah, because I've seen some people do that, and it's like, that's real cool, but also so much goddamn work.
Yeah. So that's the first thing. Your character creation is immediately kind of interesting because you get to customize your pre-painted character mini right out the gate. The next thing that's kind of cool is the big world that you're exploring is this big, huge map that has these hexes that are face down, and then as you explore regions, you flip them over, and it's like a dual layer player board, so they sit down in it real nice. And as you slowly explore the map, then things fill out and get bigger and bigger and bigger, and you can go from place to place to place, which is cool. Then, similar to, what's the card-based exploration game? Seventh Continent? Seventh Continent.
Yes.
So like in that one, cards might have different numbers that you can see on the cards that then reference you to other cards, and you can kind of zoom in more and experience things around the cards. So similar on this one, some of those hexes will have locations. Like you might be able to see a little barn with a number on it on one of those hexes. Well, then you can pull out the sideboard that is that location, flip it over, go inside the building, which is its own detailed map that you can go inside, and then it'll have a bunch of other little icons that's like, hey, you can talk to this person. Hey, you can go research this little thing. You can, inside this, there's a door to the basement that'll let you flip a different tile, and that's the basement. So you can really like zoom in on different regions, which is also kind of cool. They talk about talking to characters, and they do show an example a little bit further down in the Kickstarter of like some really basic answers, and basically you take turns being the NPC reader person, so you would use that card to answer the questions that the rest of the party is asking. I'm not sure how much guidance it gives you about what that character would know and how that would incorporate into the gameplay, but honestly seems like for as much as they were going all in on this, that seems like a missed opportunity for a fully fleshed out voice acted app. But man,
not everything can be Forbidden Waters.
Right.
Forgotten Waters?
Forgotten Waters. Forbidden Stars, Forgotten Waters.
Sorry, I forgot the name.
There's events, points of interest that I kind of already talked about where you can like really dive in, but even like the points of interest can be all the way in on some of those macro level or micro levels where you get down in there and then it's like, oh, you can check out the hay bale next to that farm. There's a point of interest there where you'll find something. It's got combat like any good fantasy cooperative RPG type game. You get to fight monsters. They use a kind of interesting dice system.
Well, you actually like loot cards out of a physical chest.
Yeah,
like it's the chest is big enough to hold the cards and loot that are in it.
Yeah,
which is neat.
The combat, if I'm gonna have to scroll way down because they show like very limited up here.
They show everything. In
the best part of this Kickstarter is they show
it's so fucking long. They show everything.
Yes, which is welcome.
Yeah,
I think they heard Adrian's complaint of like, man, they don't tell me how the game works in here.
Yeah. And especially for some of these campaign games.
Yeah,
but they do. They show you. So I'm blasting through anybody watching on the stream. Sorry that this is just flying by as I try to get back down here. Like here's a breakdown where I talked about like you can see the little
exploring
hex,
a location,
and then it goes to this bigger player board, and then inside that player board, you can eventually flip open the house and you go in there and, oh, there's a lady and you can talk to her. And then if you talk to her, she tells you to go kill rats in her basement and you go fight rats.
As is tradition.
Yeah. So the combat on your player board, you've got these little like action tokens that you can move, and you move them to different parts of your like character's, if essentially their body. Like if you want to move, you put the token on your boots, and you can upgrade your boots that lets you move different and gives you armor and things like that on your feet. If you want to attack, you move it to your weapon and you do an attack with your weapon. And so then you roll dice, and depending on what you roll, it shows you your attack pattern. So like they show you this little short sword that basically as you get higher and higher and higher, you do 1, 2, or 3 attacks in a line. So then when you look at the enemy, they've got like attack spots where you could in theory do a line and do 3 damage, but other enemies might only have their slices vertical, so that sword won't do well against them. And then there's points on those where as they hit different things, they can do more damage and the damage can spread. You can earn combos, which are a shared resource to activate super powerful abilities. When enemies attack you, you roll a different type of unique dice that has like the where they hit you. Like, so they show the yellow dice for like the rats and wolves, and the yellow dice mostly does damage from like the waist down, which makes sense. Like you're fighting a wolf, it's not going to necessarily easily get at your chest.
Because your person is broken up into like a 3x3 grid, and then like your head.
Yeah. And so depending on what they roll on the, and actually I think it's 3x3 and then your feet.
Oh, I see.
But it tells you like the yellow die can attack one of the 4 bottom ones, and depending on which face comes up, it will attack that quadrant, and you go to that section of your player's like kit, and it's like, oh, I've got armored boots, so it does less damage, or oh, I've got, nothing on my hip and it tears into me.
Every time I see any sort of health or whatever tracker, and I think of just, man, how much did Gloomhaven fuck up how they tracked health and experience?
Dude, I know.
Because like their little cube system that kind of like goes down is just like universally better than whatever stupid peg thing that Gloomhaven had.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, it was so bad.
So much so that they're on that. What was it? On the next one, they like released those dial things.
Yes,
like,
they were like, let's just do dials.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So just like you can get combos that make you do powerful abilities, it's a shared resource. Enemies have a shared resource of threat. They're tracked on the same little board. As the threat gets higher and higher, enemies get more and more powerful and can do bigger and bigger attacks, things like that. And then all of that, through all of that, you're gaining experience and leveling up, and you're earning these. And this is the only thing that I have come across that I really absolutely hate. It is. It's coming up here, what they call it. It's their stupid name for the money. Squills. Useless wooden coins the inhabitants of the world give out for good deeds. And then once you've earned enough squills, you can return home because you've been exiled until you do good and come home.
It's weird the society has this system for being unexiled.
Weird.
I don't know. It's original at least.
Sure. As I mentioned earlier, like occasionally one of the players will be playing the role of NPCs. There's a mechanism there, and they don't go into as much detail how it works, but you can earn role-playing points that you can basically use later to affect like things that happen to you. Like if you fail a check, or if somebody like an enemy would super attack you, you can spend role-playing points to be like, but here's why that attack that was a critical and would have killed me didn't. They don't, like I said, they don't go into a ton of detail about how that actually works.
It seems like if you act as a guide, which is you play as the NPCs, you get benefits.
Right, but I don't know if it's just like you played an NPC, so you get a flat 2, or like what happens with the NPC.
It seems like you are just playing as whatever the card tells you, I guess.
Yeah, and even the one card they showed for it was kind of vague as to how it actually works. I don't know. It's little vague there. And then it being a big branching open world campaign, they claim that your choices will have effects. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see.
Your murder hobos will continue to murder and be hobos.
Yeah.
Apparently this game's going to cost $1 million.
It's crazy. So you get 6 bodies, 12 heads that you can mix and match,
which is super weird.
I think it's kind of cool.
Yeah,
I mean, you stepped
really
out
like
for there.
You're not playing. It's not like they're making minis for specific characters. You're really just making character.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I don't like about it is that each body is a class, so like there can only ever be one of each class in your group. Unless you get multiple sets, I guess, then you could maybe find a way to work them in.
Hey, you know what? There's no objection to giving them more money, I'm sure.
Right, almost certainly not. There are 50 currently pre-painted monster miniatures. They show a bunch of them that look like they might actually be photos of the pre-painted minis.
Yes.
And a lot of them are still blanked out. They don't have that up there. 900 cards, because it is a massive card-driven game. Then a bunch of different tuck boxes, because the other thing about this is supposedly everything is very easy to just save the game state. So they have tuck boxes for like your characters' player boards that all of the things stay in place, where your health was, where your armors were, the main board with its hexes that you flip over and reveal slides into a tuck box to stay in place when you're taking a break.
Hey, have you ever heard of Gloomhaven?
Yeah. So just
multi-layer player boards, equipment boards, skill boards, dice, tokens, chests,
tons of stuff,
loot, cards, cubes, gems. Jesus, there's so much.
Yeah,
there is so much.
So much.
Yeah, it'll be cool to see if this will be fun in 18 months.
Yeah.
December 2022 is the estimated delivery.
Okay. 16 months. There we go.
Yeah.
Because
you got there eventually.
It'll come. For whatever reason, I didn't think it was December. I thought it was earlier or later.
So yeah, that
and just a zillion other things.
They've got shipping split up into zones, also pretty reasonable. They're giving a $20 subsidy to the shipping that they break out. So like for the continental US, you're looking at $25 shipping total for that massive fucking box with all that shit.
Yeah.
UK gets it for only $19 shipping.
And to be fair, this would normally be like $45, $40, etc. dollars.
But they're paying part of it.
Yes. Yeah. They're subsidizing.
Looking forward to trying this out.
Yeah. We'll see. It might be maybe some folks from this will be at Gen Con.
Maybe.
Who
can say? So yeah, that's Arydia, The Paths We Dare Tread.
And that's it for Kickstarters.
That's it for Kickstarters. Yes. Right on.
No emails.
No emails.
No YouTube.
No YouTubes. No listener feedback.
Well, except all the feedback we've enjoyed during chat today. My hair will not be coming back down because it is too goddamn hot in this room.
It is toasty.
I had it down for so long.
Yeah.
And it is so much nicer now.
Yeah. I am getting progressively sweatier.
Yeah.
As time goes on. So
this is our endurance level. Just feel that meter going up.
Let's see here. Let's see what it's at.
Check the fan.
It's only 82.
Only 82.
Feels warmer.
It sure does.
So that wraps it up for this week's episode. If you want to get a hold of us, go listen to the end of a different episode with all of our contact information. I don't feel like reading it all out right now.
Emails at milehighgameguys.com if you'd like to email us.
Is a big one.
That's it. That's all you need to know.
Indeed.
That's the only way to get a hold of us.
Yeah.
Don't you even think of joining our Slack channel.
Go look at our show notes over on punchboardmedia.com to find a link to the Slack channel. Those are the two big ones, Slack channel and emails.
We're slick with heat over here.
We're going to slick out of here and go Slack. Bob would like me to point out, which is a good call because I'd forgotten. This Thursday, I don't know if the episode will be out in time, but this Thursday will be episode 3 of season 3 of Mile High Dungeon Delvers. And I believe, knock on wood, we will have our full finished commissioned artwork. We have our minis. They're actually, you can vaguely see them in the distance.
One is all white.
One of them that one is not the real one. That one is Wes's. He did buy the STL file and then had his boss at the firm, the architect firm, print it to see how well that worked compared to what we got, and then he still ordered one because he liked the ordered ones better.
All right.
So, Yes, Boyd, we will definitely finish the heist. I can't imagine us going another 4 hours and not finishing the heist.
How many hours has the heist been so far?
6 to 8.
Okay. It's a long heist.
Yeah.
That's like a trilogy of movies.
Yeah. It's been a bunch of back and forthness. The problem is that we did this weird like starting thing where none of us know Leander's character and he doesn't know us. So he's been thwarting, like we're all trying to steal the same thing, and so we just keep getting in each other's ways. It's actually been pretty humorous. Yeah, the party, the heist, and now the chase. That's basically how it's breaking down. So, looking forward to that on Thursday.
Will you all get Mini Coopers?
I doubt it. Well, I don't know. We'll see. Maybe Clue will theme the carriage chase that is almost certainly going to happen as a Mini Cooper chase.
Many Mini Coopers.
Many Mini Coopers.
Yes.
Oh yeah, that was
just the name of the horse.
Which was that heist movie? I'm drawing a blank on that name because that wasn't the one of the ocean. That was that was the remake of the Italian Job.
Yes.
Chris.
Also,
Wahlberg.
I think the Italian Job had just
Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah, Mark Wahlberg.
I don't know where Chris Wahlberg came from.
Marky Mark.
Is that one of the Wahlberg brothers? Because they got multiple.
That is
no. I said Chris Wahlberg, and I was like, I don't know where that came
Marky
from.
Mark.
Yes,
Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch.
Funky Bunch, yes.
And I'm pretty sure he murdered a dude while that happened, or stabbed a guy.
It's not
whacked a guy, offed a guy.
Not he didn't
His
die.
His past is not great.
Nope.
He's from Boston. No one from Boston has.
Did he not whack off a guy?
I'm not going to speculate on what he does in his free time.
He talks to plants. So that's all I know.
Yeah.
Anyway, that wraps up the end of the episode.
No.
I like how
it's so bad.
What?
The happening.
No.
The happening.
Oh, yeah.
It's bad. I'm sorry, Zoe.
All right. On that note, we're going to get out of here. Thanks.
I hope you enjoyed your board game content.
So much board game content. We made you some board game content.
Daddy made you some content. Open wide.
As always, I have been your host, Adrian.
I am still Zach.
I don't know. I'm tired. Jeff.
Bye.
You're Jeff Punzel, according to Boyd.
I fucked it up.
It's still running.
That's it. It's Jeff Punzel.
All right. Bye.
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 Punchboard Media, where we all
bring something
to the table.
Pull up a chair
at punchboardmedia.com.